Hello, I'm returning with another second part of yet another staggered series as I'm contending with faulty equipment that keeps cutting out as I'm rendering videos and I'm having to switch content. So I apologize for the tackiness of that, but I'm still trying to offer value with what means I have. So this is in addition to what I had been saying, but what I was going in that first video is just that different people who give wings and power to writers of different kinds, no less than the great Pat Pattison and some of his understudies who have been professors of mine. They would promote the idea of regular engagement in creativity, and then also like a train of thought, and it's such as like with creative writing, songwriting, or like what I'm doing like with the content creation. So I'm just explaining that some of these videos are in that spirit, but then I'm going a step further than that, just to say that I'm almost making so what I'm highlighting with this video, but also giving myself a slight pass for, is that with a lot of these videos like that, what I'm doing and like what you might see on YouTube, now I'm trying to make a track record of value and somewhat present myself. And we're inundated with social media, and we're really in a social media reality. So it's difficult to have like a livelihood or traction or even just beneficial and enjoyable experiences without some engagement or proximity to social media, and then YouTube being maybe one of the more the more straightforward, or at least the more easily accessible and broad means of social media that also has a little bit of an educational and inspirational component with respect to other social media platforms. Not saying they can't be the same or more of that, but YouTube is just more a little bit general, but also educational. So that's what I've engaged with for a long time, and I'm coming forward with to have somewhat of engagement with social media, and then make a track record, and then also offer value with that, not knowing what any of that will amount to. But the simple fact is that when I come on with the video and I say like, hey, I'm back, and like a lot of YouTubers, I hadn't been asked a damn question in the first place, and like a lot of people. So I wanted what I wanted to highlight with this video is the significance of questions, and then as that pertains to dynamics between people, but also learning, and then like direction in life. So I remember I was in my first professional role. I had went through a lot of hell and high water to become a professional and get myself together, my life together, and then also be able to serve a community and serve the most valuable members of a community in a significant way with that training. And then I had run across like some beautiful people in that role who were already for that. That was coming off the pandemic, and then I had in the pandemic there was a certain recruitment material for professional drivers with regard to like the infrastructure and the supply chain that I had stepped up to, with a background where it was questionable if I'd even be viable as a professional driver. But I had stepped up to because I was encouraged by the nature of the situation in the pandemic. And then as I did that, I had a few successes and traction that actually gave me an inroad into the field with regard to some of my background, my personal history, where I think that at different times I had been marginalized and stigmatized and engaged by dishonest professionals to the point that I had to answer for that over many decades. But through hard work, I amounted to enough of a track record that I had a viability as a professional driver. So me existing as a professional, and then also having some experience, because I had experience in different driving roles that were not considered professional, but I had a lot of time on my hands driving, and then also like with communicating and engaging with material on YouTube to understand like social and psychological dynamics. I was a little bit effective and had some quick traction and progress as a professional driver, but I was exposed to other professional drivers who had been already operating for 5s and 10s of years as professionals, with all the responsibility, but also the esteem and the confidence that comes with operating that way, and also just the slightly different social and economic strata of being a professional. They were already comfortable and used to that, but I was still much of an upstart, even though I had some skill and some background around the type of work. But I became exposed to beautiful people doing that, and and sometimes you can find yourself falling for a person, whether you know better than that, but for whatever reason, there's something bigger than you, and you find yourself falling for a person. And I remember there was this beautiful woman that I had a few experiences with in my, like, maybe even a little bit of flirting, the person was just anytime she was around, I could feel her presence, and I'd be aware of her without trying to be, just that she was that magnetic and beautiful to me. But I remember one time I would I would stay outside of like the main like the lunch area and stuff like that, because I just I didn't want to get caught. I didn't want to get caught up in like in lingering or loitering around any place, even if I was employed there. But I remember I walked in one day, and she was like engaging with another driver, another male, actually my very age. We were on in our 30s, but him and I were the same age, and I think she was like a little bit younger. But she was engaging him, and they were like falling into each other, like they were falling into each other's personal space without maybe consciously doing so. And then I noticed that she was asking questions of him. And I don't think, like, on one hand, that's a pretty bad look for me, just like being a person that is attracted, and then but appreciating this interaction that they're having. And I think I've been many things, but I don't think I've ever been a player hater. Like I charge it to the game. Like if someone is on point, or they may be just different, and their swagger is hitting for something, I'm gonna chalk it up to the game, and I'm gonna give them their props. Whether or not I like the person, whether or not I love the person, whether or not I had anything to do with the person, if someone's hitting for something, then they're hitting. And it's just like in a basketball game. I remember I play sports, and when someone is getting hot, you just give them the ball. You can be the superstar or anything, but if they're hot, they're hot, and that's what it is. And I guess we actually get the victories by responding to and feeding in to what's hot, whether that be us or another person. So I just meant to say that I recognize game, and I charge it to the game. But the woman was asking him questions, and I don't even know what the context of their discussion was, or the backstory, but it was really kind of awesome, the level of simple respect she had for him, where a lot of times, like, we have to, like, some of us, I don't know if it's like maybe and I'm sometimes I think like certain men and people, like maybe like people like of a similar background like myself, you have to damn near become Superman just to have like the most basic interactions with people, and like have some kind of like respect in other people's eyes, or maybe even favor or attraction, if you're that lucky. While you're putting yourself together as a professional, while you're coming through hell and high water, while you're learning, while you're studying scholarship without flowers or without oversight, all this, and you have to. There's a picture of a illustration, and illustrations can say much more, I think, than words can a lot. And there's a picture of like a woman in bed with Superman, and they both look spent, like they've been together. And then the Superman's like outfit is on the side, and he's in bed exhausted, like feeling like a hero, like good about himself. And the woman's like having like a thought bubble of like, is he really the best I can do? And that's very true of like a lot of us, like, we have to damn near become Superman. But the real interaction, the real swag, the real sexiness, the real respect is just simple. Like when a woman just simply respects you for being a man and as a man, and you don't have to necessarily be anything great about that, and you might even be more great by not being great, and you kind of experience that and perceive that in situations like this. Well, all I meant to say is that she had actually asked the man a question, and that's a more significant engagement and like a deeper level of respect than any kind of like swag or even maybe even flirting. But I was thinking like with a lot of these videos, like I'm offering content and like insight and background that I have, but I simply had never been asked a question in the first place. And so I think that's significant. And the way that an interaction is engaged and broached set the entire tone of that interaction. I've made other videos talking about that in terms of harmony, but I think it's also the same in like in the content. So like a lot of the different things that we engage with, like say on YouTube, the premise of how we came into that interaction or into that video is a little bit sketchy, where it's like maybe the title had been like a little bit of clickbait, and then a person said, hey yo, this is such and such, I'm coming back with another one, but they had never been asked a question in the first place, and it's a little bit manipulative how they're in the premise of offering wisdom. And so being candid and honest, I think some of my videos may be the same, where I had not been asked a question, but I'm offering insight and value as I'm aware of it. But all I meant to say is that with this, all I'm saying is that, so I wanted to point out the significance of questions, and in that whenever you're around someone or in a facility, when you're asked a question, that might be the highest level of respect. Sometimes it can be obnoxious or annoying to be asked a question, but that might be the highest respect that you ever get is to be asked a question. And then just to recognize when questions are being asked or if they're not being asked, and then how people are engaging with questions having been asked or not being asked, as very significant. And then also, like I would say, like maybe, so like if you're a person like me, like I'm getting ready to like kind of like recalibrate my life and like maybe start a trajectory in a new path and like turn a new leaf. I had went through a lot of hell in different seasons, and then I came very close to independence in the fall, and I got a lot of independence in the fall. But now with different maneuvers that I made, or different things that I've accomplished up to this very day, with things that are about to happen next week, I may be about to be fully and completely independent in the true sense of that word. Yes, still humble, but independent for all intents and purposes. So I'm attempting to really start a new leaf in the truest sense of that word, and build myself in a life. And I think that as I approach that, what I'd like to do is really reflect upon when and how I'm being asked questions or not being asked questions, and engage with my life and my what I offer and what I do, with respect to what questions I have been asked, whether they've been asked recently or a little bit maybe in the past. When have I actually been confronted with an authentic question that demonstrates respect and esteem, and then maybe going off that as a little bit of a method to get back onto whatever our purpose is. Because I think in this life we're born with some really outstanding and awesome abilities and purposes, and that may or may not amount to our destiny, depending on the choices we make, and through what is becoming fate. But I think that, and it's fair to say that a lot of us have been distracted, confronted, and deceived, and to the point of being thrown off. Like I think there's some expressions like going back like that, like throw it off, and like there's some expressions in slang that are never like really like clarified they're never like stated overtly. Even if you're from a culture, certain vernacular in slang, you never have it actually explained to you exactly how that idiom is something that doesn't make complete sense unless you have the cultural context and background. But there are idiomatic expressions in a lot of cultures that they're never completely conveyed or stated, even to authentic members of that culture, but you can sense what they mean, and you've heard them said a couple of times where you have an understanding of what that means. And there's an expression in American society, like Black American society, of being thrown off. And I think that a lot of people might be able to read into like what that might mean. And I think in my life I've been properly thrown off, whether of my own doing or other bogus people, or the interaction of those two. I've been thrown off. And in trying to get back to that, and like maybe actually having an opportunity to do that with this very next week as I'm stepping into independence, the first step to actually get back to the authentic path that is a benefit and a strong suit both to myself and other people would be to reflect upon, when am I actually being asked authentic questions, how am I being asked authentic questions, and then what can I offer of value, and what do those questions mean to me, and my response and experience mean to someone asking that question, when it's authentic and genuine, and coming forward in an organic way. and then to also recognize that a lot of the false steps and missteps we do, whether we are offering ourselves romantically, intellectually, personally, professionally, socially, had we actually been asked a question in the first place, um, and then maybe going off of that as a way to get as a hack to get back to our authentic purposes, strength, strong suits, and destiny in this life. But I hope this can be of value. And again, I know you may have landed on this question and never asked me a damn question in the first place, but I'm still trying to offer value and a track record within this body of work, both for myself and others, to amount to something, and just trusting in the work. So if I could say anything, having not been asked again, I would say trust in the work, whatever that means to you. Peace.